The Washington Redskins, now known as the Washington football team, have had a long, storied history. In more recent history, there's been a wide variety of reputation-damaging reports coming out, be it field conditions, team culture, poor ownership decisions. That is coming to an end. After many debates, long nights, and heated discussions, ownership has decided to sell the team. A relatively unknown name has stepped forward and bought the Washington football team. He has declared his intent to relocate the team. Eli Thomas has set a date for a press conference to announce where they will be relocating to and who they will be known as from this point forward. After nearly 90 years of residing in Washington, the history of the Washington Redskins, now known as the Washington football team, has come to an end. Throughout this process, many tough decisions have had to be made. The history of the Washington football team has been put behind us. It's time we open a new book. It's time we write our own history, and it starts now. It starts with creating a positive culture and having a positive impact surrounding community. As of the 2022 season, we will be residing in Oklahoma City. We hope to bring no small amount of energy, enthusiasm, and leadership to the community, as well as a culture of success on and off the field. Coach Ron Rivera is known, loved, and respected, not just by this football team, but by the league as a whole. After many meetings and long discussions about what things look like going forward, we mutually decided to part ways, to create a new culture, a new face, and let Coach Rivera have the freedom to pursue other options should he so choose. So I would officially like to announce to you our new head coach, Coach Eric Bieniemy. As a coaching staff and management group, coming into this offseason, we have a lot of tough choices to make. Our defense underperformed, and we'd like to see more out of our offense as well. Welcome everyone to the very first offseason of the Oklahoma City Lancers. I'm excited to see what this offseason has in store for us, who we can gain to add to this roster to try to bolster the defense, what improvements can we make to our offense. With a new coaching staff, a new philosophy, a new mindset, we hope to hit the ground running and build a lot of excitement and momentum going forward. So first up on the books is player renegotiations. We have 32 players up. There's probably going to be a lot of turnover this season. Let's see who all we have out here. Brandon Scherf is a big name. He is the star player on that offensive line. I'd like to try to keep him. Let's see what we can get accomplished. He's 32 years old. We'll probably keep him at a 2-year deal. Let's bump that up a little bit. Let's spend a little money, try and keep that piece in place. Other positions on our offensive line do need some work. That is a place of focus. Maybe that could be an area that we try to grow in the draft. This is a team that likely needs a quarterback sooner rather than later, but this is not a quarterback heavy draft. So I want to be wise with our draft capital. I want to make wise decisions and build the team going forward and not set us back a few years by taking the wrong person at quarterback. Looks like Brandon wants to play for another team. That's understandable. We're in a new state. We're in a new city. If he wants to walk, unfortunately, let's let him walk. Let's move into free agency. And let's take a look at our roster and see if there's any cuts we need to make and who we might be able to pick up. How much money do we have to spend? We have about $65 million to spend. And as the owner, I want to be wise with my money, but I am not hesitant to spend if there is a good player or two to plug in place. Firstly, let's look at our roster. Let's see if there's any fat that needs to be trimmed. Taylor Heineke is sitting there. He got a star dev. He's not the youngest. He's not the oldest. He'll still have some development. One thing is for sure, the team respects and rallies around this kid. So we could at least keep him as our quarterback until there is a wise move to be made. We can play the game of patience. We've got a young Antonio Gibson at running back, also a star dev. It's good to see. We can hopefully develop him. Eric Bieniemy, our coach, is a running back focused coach. Scary Terry McLaurin, one of the best in the league. Hopefully he can continue to develop and have a breakout year this year. We didn't get to see a lot out of Curtis Samuel last year with injuries. That is a lot of money. I'd like to see some more out of him, or we maybe look at moving away from him. De'Ami Brown, a good young name. Hopefully he can develop. He's setting on a start as well. That's good. Our tight end group is led by the quarterback turned tight end in Logan Thomas, who has had a good couple of years. He's setting on a start ev. He's not young. He's 31 years old, so we need to start thinking about moving in a different direction. We've got John Bates, who's 24 years old. He's only a normal dev, but maybe we can get him to develop. Now we start looking at where I would like to see some growth sooner than later. Our offensive line. We've got a 30-year-old Charles Leno Jr. He's a good gap tackle, but I'd like to get younger and get more talented at our offensive line all the way around. $10 million there, that is, I'm going to cut that money. I just think we can do better than that. Same here. I'm going to trim the fat here as well. Center, I'd like to not take that cap hit. 29-year-old, we'll leave him in place, build around him, and hopefully get a late round to develop behind him. There's not a lot of money there, so we do have a depth, hopefully the depth and not a starter setting there. And Sam Cosmi, who I think was second round, first round draft pick last year. He was our second round draft pick last year. Talented tackle out of Texas. Now we start looking at our defense, where we have a lot of young talent to build around. And the face of that defense is Chase Young. He was out a lot of last year with a torn ACL. He's still got some healing and rehab to do. I look forward to seeing him on the field and seeing the difference maker that he can be, paired with the freaky speed, agility in Montez Sweat. Some good bookend ends there. Pass rush should not be something we need to look at immediately anytime soon. And we have 3 strong defensive tackles. So this is another position I don't think we need to look at. I'm actually going to throw Ianitis on the trade block and see if anything worth value comes up for him before the draft. We need linebackers. Jamin Davis is a good up-and-coming middle linebacker. We need to put some people around him on the outside. Our secondary was poor last year. Looks like we could look to get younger and more talented. We need a free safety. I may actually bounce at that size, weight, speed. I may bounce Cameron Curl to free safety, depending on who we can pick up at strong safety. I'm going to go ahead and trim this money off the books so we have a little more room to spend. So here's our draft capital right now. We're sitting at pick 11. We'll see what's there. There's some good players at the top end of this draft. This upcoming draft class has the names of Thibodeau, of Hutchinson, of Hamilton, some big names. I would love to have them. I don't think they're going to drop to us, and I don't plan unless we see something crazy happening. I don't plan to move up in the draft. I could entertain the idea of moving back and building some draft capital depending on what is offered to us. But for right now, let's go look at free agents and see who we can bring to the team. And the big free agent name is Davante Adams. It looks like he has a few good offers sitting on the table already, and we just paid Curtis Samuel a fair amount of money last year. Here are the free agents I'm going to take a look at. I'm looking to bring in Kyle Fuller to play with his brother, get a third corner on the depth chart that is above a 65. I'm going to try to bring in Connor Williams to get some offensive line help. Just some depth here. Tyler Huntley, I was impressed with what he did in Baltimore when he stepped in as I believe undrafted rookie and backed up Lamar for a few weeks. I was impressed. Maybe we can get him to develop if something happens to Taylor. And a left outside linebacker. There are some big names out there. I don't want to spend big money on over 30-year-old players. Receiver, we've already put a lot of money into that position, and I'm just not ready to do that just yet. Brandon Scherf, unfortunately, has quite a few contract offers on the table, and I'm not going to spend that much money to bring him back if he doesn't want to be here. We do need help at safety. We've got a good, young, strong safety who is a little smaller, so I may move him to free safety depending on who we can get the offers at the safety position. That's the area that I'm really kind of debating. Do I throw in an offer on, say, Ronnie Harrison, and let's look. Let's try and offer him a little bit, bump up the numbers just a hair, and see where it puts us in the running. Yeah, so it puts us at number 2. So I'll leave it on the table, and if he chooses to come to us, awesome, great. We have a good young safety tandem. If not, then maybe we need to look at the draft. Looks like Harrison chose to go with another team. We signed everybody else we were looking at. Let's see if there's anyone still negotiating with us. Nope, we signed everyone we were negotiating with. Let's look at see where Ronnie ended up. He ended up back in Jacksonville. All right, who's left on the book? Chris Godwin does not have a contract offer. I've got a couple young receivers that I would like to develop, and if I bring in Chris Godwin, that's going to hurt their development, so I don't want to do that. And like I said, we put a lot of money into the receiver position. McLaurin is coming up on a contract soon, so we're going to need to pay him to keep him around. I just am not ready to make that investment. So I decided to look and see what was on Trade Block before we look at that mock draft, and one interesting name popped up. I mentioned we needed help at safety, at free safety specifically. There is a talented young free safety on the Colts that looks like they might be entertaining. Let's go talk to them and see if we can get a deal made. If we have some depth, I would like to give up player and not draft stock. They're stacked at running back. So it looks like they brought in Marcus Williams, which is why they have Julian Blackmon on the trade block. Fortunately, I don't see a lot of positions that they have need at that we are strong at, so I may have to give up some draft capital. Let's see if we can do a 4th round pick next year in the 2023 draft. Let's see where that puts us. Not a lot of interest. So, man, what's it gonna take to get us there? They want tight end help. Logan Thomas was good, and he's got great chemistry with our quarterback. I think this is what I'm gonna do. If they accept this, this will kind of formulate what we're looking at in the draft. I'd like to focus on the offensive line anyway. Looks like they have some cap issues with this, but let's see if I can take off a low-rated player and help their cap draft, their salary hit a little bit. We can't get this to work. I get it. Oh, we got Nick Foles. He could be a good mentor for young guys. And the deal is done. So we're setting our 4th round draft pick and our left tackle and Carlos Leno Jr. over to the Colts for Julian Blackmon and a veteran quarterback who could help mentor our young quarterback room and whoever we may bring in if we choose to bring in a quarterback this year. So with that, let's go look at the mock draft and strategize what our draft board needs to look at. They still have Thibodeau going first, Neal going second. Looks like these have not changed much. Hamilton going to the Giants, Hutchinson going to the Panthers, pairing him with Burns. That could be a scary tandem if he develops like I think he will. And they still have us picking up Carl Loftus. So he's a great young player. Maybe we could look at him and possibly stand up. Sweat, again, he is a scary freak athletic person. He could play off outside linebacker. We do need help at outside linebacker. We've got a D grade and a B- grade there. More than that, though, we need help on the offensive line. We've got nobody at left tackle, C+ at left guard, B- at center, D at right guard, and C at right tackle. So what I'm thinking right now is we might build some draft capital. We might trade around in the draft a little bit And it may not be the fanciest of moves. We may not get any big money market names in a quarterback or a receiver, but we may look to bolster our offensive line a little bit and build it going forward. I still have Kenny Pickett going 18, being the first quarterback off the board. Let's get to the draft and see what happens. And here is the start of the 2022 NFL Draft. First up is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Who are they going to take? They were projected to take Thibodeau, and that is in fact the case. Next is the Detroit Lions. Are they going to take that freak athlete at left tackle and create a strong, possibly the strongest bookend tackles in Sewell and Neal? And they do. They take Evan Neal. We've got the Giants on the board here. They get defensive line help into Marvin Leal. The Texans take cornerback Derek Stingley. Should be an immediate plug in and be able to start right off the bat. That's the type of player you want early on in the draft. The Jets get offensive line help. Good young left guard. They can grow and pair with some of their other young offensive linemen they've taken the last couple years. It looks like their offensive line could be potent in the next few years. The Panthers get Aiden Hutchinson, so they have some bookend defensive ends that could be scary for offensives going against them. That's something to keep an eye on going forward. The Giants are up again. Let's see what they're going to take. And they get the freak safety in Kyle Hamilton. I look forward to seeing his growth in the league. The Broncos take Drake London, receiver out of USC. The Falcons take Chris Olave, receiver out of Ohio State. The Jets come back and get a corner in Andrew Booth Jr., and we are now up. So let's look and see what is on, who is still there. Kenyon Green, guard. I feel like there's depth at offensive line, so I don't need to take a rush pick here. I can be patient and trade back and get some draft capital going forward so that we can build the team for years to come. Matt Corral is somewhat tempting. He is kind of a gritty football player in everything I've seen out of the scout tapes. I'm a fan of his, but I feel this is a little high to take him. Don't need a running back yet. George Karlaftis is tempting, very tempting, but our defensive line is possibly the strongest part of our team. Don't want to take receivers yet. I don't see anything that just stands out glaring saying we have to take it now. So let's see what trade options are available to us. Just a 2023 first round pick. I'm not interested in that. Here's a little more. All right, now we're talking. Now we're looking at 2 first-round picks this year and next year with a 7. At pick 23 this year, that is the measuring stick right there in the Buffalo Bills. Let's see what else we got. 2 1s and a 2. Pick 28 this year, and then 2 picks next year. We'll come back and look at that in a second. 2 1s and a 3. No, I think the Bucks are a better pick than that. So it looks like the most enticing offers. Oh, here we go. Let's look at this. Oh, that's the last pick this year and a 3. No, not quite gonna do it for me. We got the Chiefs. That's a guaranteed late, unless something crazy happens, a guaranteed late pick next year as well. So that's as good as the 3. It's end of the second round. So it looks like the choices are the Bills and the Bucks. The Bills, we will get a higher first round pick this year, but we get a 1 and a 7 next year. The Bucks, we get a little bit later pick this year, We get a 1 and a 2 next year. I think we're going to accept the phone call from Tampa Bay and get this deal done. And since they've traded up, let's see who they choose to take. Garrett Wilson, they replaced Chris Godwin. Wise front office move, in my opinion. It was a position that we didn't need to grow in at the moment, and they came up and got the guy they wanted. Vikings take cornerback out of Florida, Nkara Elam. The Ravens get a guy that was on my board in George Karlaftis. I just did not feel we needed his help at that position. And there's a right tackle off the board from Ohio State, Pettit Frere. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. Chargers select Ahmad Gardner, cornerback out of Cincinnati. Good young talent there. The Eagles, first of 3 first-round draft picks, will select receiver, keeping up with what they've done in recent years, taking receivers in the first round, and Treylon Burks. And they're up again. Let's see who they get at pick 17. Kenyon Green, left guard. So they're continuing to add to that consistently strong offensive line. Here is where the first quarterback was slated to go, and Kenny Pickett. Let's see what the Saints do with this pick. And they do. They pick Kenny Pickett. So the first quarterback is off the board. Eagles' third pick up at pick 19. Who do they get? Matt Corral. Wow, that's probably the first surprise of the draft, I think. They chose to take a quarterback. So there may be some quarterback controversy to keep an eye on in our division rivals in the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts and Matt Corral. Who is going to start week 1 for them? The Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger has chosen to move on. Do they replace him? They do. Carson Strong is the new face at quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. After many years of not having a losing record with Ben Roethlisberger at the quarterback position, it is time for a new era. It'll be interesting to see what he can do. He's got some big shoes to fill, literally. The Dolphins select Devin Lloyd, middle linebacker out of Utah. The Raiders will have help at right outside linebacker in Drake Jackson. The Bills will get Jahan Dotson, adding to the receiver room another weapon for Josh Allen to throw at, so that they can hopefully, I know they hope to move past the Chiefs and get past that roadblock that's always in their way. The Cardinals get tight end Jalen Weidermeyer. Good pick there. I think. If Ertz is still on their books, he can mentor this young man. Ertz is at the back end of his career. It's a good transition to get him into place. I like the move. The Bengals get Tyler Linderbaum, center out of Iowa. Good young center offensive lineman, someone I did have my eye on. The Patriots, constantly picking late in the draft. Let's see who they get. Isaiah Spiller, running back. Okay. The Lions, pick 27, take right outside linebacker out of Oklahoma, Nick Bonito. He would have been a hometown boy for us, although he was not someone I was specifically looking at. All right, at pick 28. Let's see who's there. Let's see who's sitting here. QB Sam Howell catches my attention, and here's where we start thinking. Left tackle, center, right tackle. I'm not going to lie, I'm a big fan of Jordan Davis. We just don't need the help at defensive line. Before I make a move here, let's see what trade offers are available to us. A 2 and a 3, 2, 3, 4. A next year 1, 4, 6. 2, 3, 7, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. Next year 1, 3, 5. Moving back 1 pick, and we pick up a 3 and a 6. That's enticing. Tennessee, I'll keep that in mind. 2 2s. We move back a couple picks and we pick up a 3 and a 4 this year. I think Tennessee's offer on that is a little better than, yeah, so it's a 3 and a 6 compared to the Chiefs 3 and a 4. It is the back end of the draft, but that 4 to 6, I think we're gonna get on the phone with the Chiefs and get this done. And they take Zay Flowers, receiver, to help bolster, hopefully be another target outside of Kelsey Hill and Edwards-Helaire. The Titans will take defensive tackle Jordan Davis. Like I said, he was someone I had my eye on. We just don't need help at that position. The Packers get help at defensive line with right end out of South Carolina, Kingsley Enagbari. And let's look at draft picks. We know who's on the board. We just looked. Anything enticing enough to make us pull the trigger. If I could get a late 1 next year, or a 1 next year and a 2 this year, I would love that. That's kind of what I'm looking for. I don't think we're going to see it. Could move back 1 pick and get another 3 this year and a 6. We could use that to build. I think I'm going to do it. We're going to take that and build some depth on this team and hopefully find some jewels in the rough. And the Dallas Cowboys take quarterback Sam Howell, even though they just signed Dak Prescott to a long-term multi-million-dollar deal. You gotta love Madden. Love the logic. Alright, so let's make our pick. At pick 32, there's some talented players here. We do not have a currently slated left tackle, and I think that, yeah, I think Sean Ryan is the pick. Let's look at his physicals. Great, elite, great, solid, great, elite, good, a lot of reps. This is our pick. He is a hidden dev. Nice, good. Good strength, decent acceleration. Hope he's going to be hopefully a day 1 starter for us. And we're up again at pick 11. Let's see what's on the board. We may continue to bolster our offensive line, so we don't have to focus on that going forward. John Mechie III is sitting there. Don't think we need receiver help just yet. We have a quarterback in Kedon Slovis, but I don't think we need. I don't think this is a good position to take quarterback. Trevor Penning at left tackle. We can always plug one of them in at a right tackle, even though we do have a second round pick, that is, in Cosme playing right tackle for us right now. Nolan Smith, good young talented player. I'd like to pick him up. We need help at left outside linebacker. Okay. So Nolan Smith is the guy to beat in my mind at the moment. What else is here? I don't see anything else that just grabs my attention in a place of need. Yeah, I think we're going to make the move. Let's look at the physicals. Solid, good, great. Second round pick. You'd like to see something like that. You saw a lot out of him on that defense in Georgia. And he is also a hidden dev. Great. 2 in a row. That is a great start. So we're going to look over our entire draft. But first, looks like we have some offers on our 3rd string defensive tackle and Matt Ioannidis. Let's see what offers are on the table. 3, 4, 6 from Pitt. I like that. I think we're going to get that done. Oh, apparently they don't have the cap for it. Well, then why'd you make the offer? So let's look at our draft cap. For pick 32, we took left tackle Sean Ryan. He's a 71 overall. We've got Nolan Smith at 70 overall. Hopefully he can develop well. We came back and got a guard in Darian Kennard. help to continue to bolster and grow our offensive line. And a tight end at 66. Took Malik Cunningham in the 4th round, a developmental quarterback. Hopefully he can become something down the line. Got some cornerback help, got a fullback, and got a kicker. So we have a few depth traits that we started the draft out. Overall stats weren't extremely high, but good developmental players, and that's what I was looking at, with considering I did not see any big name quarterbacks on the board that we just had to have at that moment. All right, let's get into the preseason. Okay, let's look at our squad starting the 2022 preseason. We've still got Taylor Heineke at quarterback with Tyler Huntley backing him up. We, in a trade, picked up Nick Foles. Maybe can help mentor and grow these young quarterbacks. And we have a 4th one who will probably end up being practice squad, and Malik Cunningham. Picked up a fullback in the draft. We have Curtis Samuel and Terry McLaurin and De'Ami Brown in our receiver room. The X Factor in McLaurin. Hope that he has a great year. We hope to see development out of De'Ami and more stat-wise out of Curtis Samuel coming off of that injury. Logan Thomas still heads up our tight end. We got Jesse Bates, who the football team took last year, and Averett, who we took this year, in the young developmental talent. At right tackle, Sean Cosme. At right guard, Kennard is going to be starting at right guard. I don't know. I'm going to make that adjustment. So guards will be Connor Williams and Damian Kennard. Center, same center from last year, and Sean Ryan as our 1st round draft pick, who will start at left tackle. Defense, not a lot of changes on the defense. Up front, Chase Young heads it up with Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, and Montez Sweat. Hopefully they can rack up the sacks this year. At corners, we've got the Fuller brothers and Jackson the 3rd. Safety, we've got Cameron Curl and Blackman, who we picked up in a trade this year. At linebacker, we've got Nolan Smith. Hopefully who can be a centerpiece moving forward with Jamin Davis, and Cole Holcomb on the other side. Special teamers, Way, and I couldn't pronounce that if I wanted to, as our kicker. And looks like Brooks is our return specialist. Okay, we'll get through the preseason real quick and look at the preseason stats. See if anybody stood out through the preseason moving into the regular season. That was a loss to the Texans. I'm just going to look at the stats overall, save us a little bit of time, and I know we're all ready and excited to move into the regular season. Looks like we have a standout in our offseason. Let's see who it is. Montez Sweat is excelling as a pass rusher, Eric Bieniemy says. All right, we finish up the preseason with a win over the Vikings. We need to make some cuts and make sure our depth chart's in place. We'll look at the stats, see who our standouts were. All right, on the preseason, Heineke threw 1 touchdown and 1 interception, was 37 to 54 out of completion attempts, completion percentage of 69%, rating of 96. Huntley, little less numbers, not quite as good. 3 interceptions is more than you'd like to see. Rushing, looks like Kennedy Brooks, the undrafted free agent we picked up, had a decent preseason with 3 touchdowns. Receiving, McLaurin and Averett got a touchdown, as well as Prohl. Nothing standing out too much. You'd like to see not a ton of sacks here in the preseason. Doesn't look terrible. Defense, does anybody have standout? Deron Payne, 7 tackles for loss. That's considerable. Fair amount of sacks and 1 interception on the preseason. You'd like to see more coming into this 2022 regular season. You'd like to see more out of our defense, make some big stops and some development on the offensive side of the ball. And week 1 of the 2022 season is here